Hey everybody, Sharon here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today in the fourth and final part of our playthrough of Babol the Walking Box, and we're going for the last achievements. Of course, we're going to be taking advantage of the chili dog code to give us God mode, so make sure you punch that in at the title screen if you haven't already. We're going to be picking up from where we left off after the third boss. You want to make sure you clear this jump right here. The next part is going to start off with these jumps. As always, make sure you take your time with these and make sure you are doing jumps from a standing position, as running jumps in this game are going to be a little finicky with input lag. Make sure you are careful when the camera also changes positions, and then make sure you quickly get to the first checkpoint, and then it's going to be business as usual, using God mode to plow through all of the enemies and obstacles until we get to the chase segment. It's going to be against this lion. This one, thankfully, is going to probably be one of the easier chase segments, as it is going to be a big open area. You are going to have a bunch of low-hanging obstacles that you can jump over very easily, and all the fences are going to be super duper easy to spot. So just make sure you keep holding down and keep mashing that A button, and you should be able to build up a pretty good distance between you and the lion. Lion is going to move pretty fast, but thankfully we are going to move way faster thanks to our invincibility and the explosive boxes not slowing us down. So just keep pushing forward, and then just make sure you mind the fences. Once you get to this part, it can be a little tricky, so don't let that fence with the middle gap slow you down. Get past this little ridge right here, and then we're going to keep pushing forward. If the lion is closing in on you, remember you can build up distance by holding down and jumping. And once you get to this fence with the gap in the middle, that's going to be the end of the segment. There's going to be our last chase out of the way and the last chase-related achievement for 100 gamer score. And then we're going to move on to the traditional gameplay until we get to this bit right here, which is going to be some more tricky platforming. This one's going to be very difficult as it's going away from the camera, so make sure you mind the difficulty in managing distance. Just take your time and only do standing jumps. Make sure you avoid all running jumps as often as possible, and then just make sure you mind the distance. Try to jump from the edge, but don't go too far off, as you do not want to slip off. Thankfully, this is going to be the last part of the game with these tricky 3D platforming controls, and thankfully, once you get to the other side, you can leave this in the past where it belongs, and then we're going to move forward. You have this bridge segment, which you think would be hard, however, your invincibility does work here, so if you miss the timing of one of the bridges that sink down, you can just stand here, and as long as you don't fall off, you should be good. So you are able to stand in the lava as long as you have something under your feet, thankfully, so you should be able to mow through this part A-okay. Then we're just going to have one last straightaway until we get to the final boss fight. Thankfully, there's nothing here to stop us, so just make sure you press forward until you start the boss fight. This one's going to be pretty easy, however, it is going to require a bit of patience. It's going to be a 4-stage fight. First part of the fight is going to be fairly simple. The boss is going to throw these projectiles at you, and you're supposed to deflect them back at him. What you want to do is make sure you stand about this far away, and then you're going to have to time your attack button in order to kick his projectile back. The timing is going to be when he winds up, so once you notice him start to pull his staff back, that's when you want to make sure you hit the attack button. You're going to want to do a standing attack, so don't do a jumping ground pound. Just make sure you try to time it. You are obviously going to want to be facing him. And if you can get the timing right, you should be able to kick his projectile back, and that should deal damage to him. Then you're going to want to do it again for the second hit. So just make sure you manage the timing, and then once you get it down, you should be able to knock it off consistently. Once you damage him twice, we're going to move on to the third phase of the fight. He's going to throw out these laser beams right here, and then he's going to throw out a projectile after shooting out a handful of these laser beams. So to get the timing right, which one you just want to make sure you count out 5 laser beams, and then on the 6th attack, he's going to throw out his projectile. So just count out each laser beam, and as soon as he's winding up for his 6th attack, that's going to be the one that you can throw back at him. So once you notice the wind up for attack number 6, that's going to be when you want to hit the attack button. Hopefully you can get that timing right, but it's always going to be in groups of 5. So 5 laser beams and then a projectile. That's going to be the one you want to make sure you send back his way, and then that's going to be how you damage him for the third phase. And then after you damage him for the third phase, it's going to be the exact same thing for the 4th phase. So in total, that's going to be 2 phases with the projectiles, and then 2 phases with the laser beams and the projectiles, and that should be the sequence that you want to do them in. And then once you manage to hit him with 4 of his projectiles, you should be good for the win. Once you take him out, you should be good for your achievement. There it is, 200 gamer score. This is also where your completion should ideally be, so hopefully you enjoy that, and that's going to wrap it up for the game. And that's all there is to it.